Elevate your profits. Good afternoon, Mr. Gassert. How are you, buddy?
Doing fantastic. Here in Peachtree, corners, a little cold here in the south, like 16 degrees earlier this morning. And, it upped the ante to like in the 20s, but now we're going to the backside. And I know where you're at in Wisconsin.
I'm looking at my computer right now. It says 2 degrees. Wind chill's about -10.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, tomorrow's supposed to be. Rex said is going to be even colder tomorrow. So, but
absolutely.
Yeah, so we've got it really excited. We've done something we've never done before. I'll just sort of set it up, and then we'll bring our guest in. I'm part of the American Legion here in Oconomowoc, Post 91. I was asked to participate in help coaching these two young men with some other members of the post. We've got one amazing coach that has coached young people, actors, and that type of stuff. Has really helped quite a bit. I've learned quite a bit as well from her. But it's been an honor to participate, helping them refine their gift. They're gifted, two gifted young men. You're going to have an opportunity to meet here in a moment. But so we're grooming them to hopefully we can take them to the nationals at the American Legion Constitution Oracle contest. Pretty substantial scholarship opportunities for them. So we were doing everything we can to just put those little fine tunes on. The more they present, the better we all become. So that's the whole purpose of the day. How I got involved, and I said, how can I help even further? And so know Rex personally here, knowing his background, his eye, his experience, his wisdom. Hopefully we can just give a little tweak of something to help these two young men a little further. So what I'm going to do, Mark, is I'm going to bring in our Rex Sikes and Stephen and Peter Bott, and then we'll rock and roll from there. Rex, Peter, and Stephen. Rex, I'm going to start with these two young men. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Stephen Bott. And my name is Peter Bott. Thank you for having us.
Welcome. Glad to have you guys here. And Rex, go ahead and introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Rex, and I'm glad to be here with Mark and Tom and Stephen and Peter. And I've been involved in helping people transform their lives for about 50 years. I'm also an actor and a filmmaker and producer director. So some of the things I do is coach speakers and presenters and authors and actors and celebrities. So hopefully, if there's something that we can add to today, I'm happy to chime in. So
wonderful. And we always like to start.
Can I add this?
Sure, go ahead, Rex.
Attitude is the number one predictor for success in all areas of your health, of your life: health, wealth, happiness, romance, leisure, whatever. It all has to do with attitude. It has to do with if you think you can and you decide you can, then the question is, will you? But if you think you can't and you decide, no, I'm not going to try, then you won't. So always just remember that how you think about things does matter. So expect the best, prepare for the worst, and keep on moving.
Great advice. We always like to start out why Mark and I are do this program. We've been doing it now how long, Mark?
3 years, 4 years, somewhere in between there.
4 years through the Ken Walls and that whole group of people. And I would never have thought myself doing a live stream or doing something on camera 4 years ago. It's been a process. It's been a growth process. And like Rex said, it's about the attitude and it's been a blessing. We started this platform, Elevate Your Profits, to help people improve every area of their life, from our mindset to our bank account. We've interviewed substantial authors such as Rex. We've interviewed Rex in the past. Benjamin Gay, Ben. We've had Ben on. John David Mann. We've interviewed John David Mann. You know who he is?
I know him, yeah.
Yeah. So some very successful.
And his lovely bride.
Yes, we've interviewed Anne. Is it Anna?
Anna.
Anna. Yeah, we've interviewed her as well. The Go Giver Marriage. Yeah, so it's awesome people. So it's expanded my horizon to meet some very significant people that have improved my life just by who they are and what they teach and what they do. So it's just about helping people. Hopefully something here today will make a difference in somebody's life. Today we've got two young people that I've seen a lot of speakers. I've been in Toastmasters and et cetera. I've seen some pretty talented speakers as well as you. Something said these two young men are special. Their preparation for the content they'll be delivering today, I'll let them explain what they're going to talk about here in the Constitution. But very unique, very talented two young men, and that's why we're here today. So, Mark, you have anything you want to say or ask before we get going?
As far as being grateful, gratitude, I'm really looking forward to the night of what these young people are going to share with us, these two young gentlemen. And that's what excites me, to see younger people. The fact that they're going to be talking about the Constitution and, our country, and that excites me, regardless of your political affiliation. The fact that they're willing to step forward and share themselves with us this evening, that takes a lot of courage in itself. And what Rex shared with you, man, attitude is everything. And that's why I plug into all sorts of people like Rex. I listen to just about anybody I can about attitude, because it never goes away. And it's something you just need to constantly work at, because we're all going to have challenges in life, whether it's financial, health, it's just going to come at you when you least expect it. And I commend you for, you guys look razor sharp on here. I feel like we underdress, guys, but I'm really looking forward to what you're going to share with us this evening.
Thank you.
At this point, I'd like you to introduce yourself. We'll start with Stephen. Your story, your why, your story, why this topic, a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your age, those type of things, where you go to school, anything about yourself you want to share, so the people out there will have a better understanding more about you and what you're about. Go ahead, Stephen.
Of course. My name is Stephen Bott. I am 17 and I'm homeschooled. I have a wonderful family. Peter is one of my 3 younger siblings. We enjoy each other and we have a great time. Specifically, why I enjoy public speaking is about 2-3 years ago, we got into a league called the National Christian Forensics and Communications Association that has the NCFCA for short. That's slightly less, intimidating. But we have tournaments around the country that I've really appreciated. I love both prepared speaking and I enjoy limited preparation speaking. My favorite category is apologetics, where I get to share why I believe what I believe, specifically how I can defend our Christian faith. And I love team policy debate, and I do TP debate research in my free time. So I get to debate with my brother Peter, and that's quite a blessing. But specifically why I got into this topic that I'm going to share with you, well, I needed a Constitution speech for the American Legion competition. And my first idea was about the specifics of the First Amendment, specifically freedom of religion. But as I was researching and seeing different people's opinions and ideas, I realized that my speech would be more impactful to our society today, instead of going where I was going with that other speech. Though I appreciate the topic, I think it's something we don't understand enough. Specifically, my topic is that our country is a republic rather than a democracy, and the importance and benefits of that distinction. And specifically today, we actually watched the inauguration of President Trump, and our country was referred to as a democracy, we counted 4 times before it was ever referred to as a republic. So it's a common misunderstanding today, and it's actually crucial that we understand why the Constitution was so wise when it gave us a republic. So that's just a little bit about the topic and what it means to me and why I think it's really important for today's world.
Great. Yeah, I think people are going to be quite excited and get some good clarity from your message today, because I've heard the speech before.
I hope so. That's the
And
goal.
Peter, a little bit about yourself and your why and your story about your topic that you're going to be talking about today.
All right. My name is Peter Bott. I'm 15 years old. I'm homeschooled by my mother, and I'm privileged to have my brother and I. We've had a privilege debating together this year. But part of the reason why I chose this speech to do this speech for the Constitution Oracle contest, was because a couple years ago we went through in our history class about the founding documents of America, and I realized we were just basically scratching the surface, and the depth of insight that these men had into the human heart and how to solve that in society. And so since then, we've really been looking around, and it really opened our eyes to see how our country's problems can actually be solved by going back to our founding documents. And so one of the biggest ways that I saw was definitely the federal welfare system. And it's all around us. Many of our tax dollars go to it. An exorbitant sum of our tax dollars go to it, actually. And so I decided I would kind of tackle the fundamental issue that's underneath that, and see if we can get back to the founding documents and the founding ideals of our country. And so that's just a joy to present, and I really appreciate all your giving your time and your feedback to us.
Wonderful. Yeah, we're going to run it the same way that we did it at the Legion Post. You got 10 minutes. You want to stay. If you go over 10 minutes in your speech, that you get deducted points and all that on your presentation, or disqualified. You know that.
Yep.
So I'm going to do, my role is the 8-minute and then the final minute. Okay. So you know where you're at. So if you have to shrink it down to whatever you need to do to stay in those time frames, we'll go from there. And
Okay.
we're going to start with Stephen.
Yep.
You'll have Peter step off stage there, and we'll have you back.
Are you ready?
I am ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Is there a reason why we're on camera? I mean, because we could have him full screen.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
I
do
mean,
that.
let us see him better.
All right. In the aftermath of the 2016 election, many Americans were shocked to realize that a president could be elected without a majority of the popular vote. President Donald Trump earned 2.5 million less votes than Hillary Clinton, according to reporter Chris McCoy, yet he still won the election. Why? Because our country is not a democracy, but a republic. It is a common myth today that the United States is a democratic nation. It is not. And though we do care about the authority and the opinion of our people, the Constitution wisely frames our form of government as a republic rather than a democracy. Now, it is vitally important that we citizens recognize this distinction and that we live accordingly. So in this speech, I will first present the form of government our founders chose. Second, I will describe the benefits of our republic. And third, I will outline the duties of our citizens. Now, after reflecting on history, the founders recognized the weaknesses of prior forms of government. And to establish a stable government, they boldly developed something new. In this first point, I would like to explain why they chose a constitutional republic. As defined by Britannica, a democracy is a, quote, form of government in which laws, policies, leadership, and major undertakings of a state are directly or indirectly decided by the citizen body, end quote. Now, what's wrong with this approach? Well, the founders recognized that when the citizens vote directly on every policy, the process is very inefficient and factions quickly form. John Adams concluded, quote, "Democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself." End quote. Now, by examining the historical example of Athens, the founders recognized that democracy is not only unstable, but also dangerous. Lawrence Samons, a classics professor at Boston University, explained that in the Athenian system, a council of 6,000 citizens was required to vote. Now, this direct democracy led to some unwise decisions based purely on the transient opinion of the populace. They approved the ill-advised Peloponnesian War, only to be drastically defeated. They routinely impeached their elected officials, and they even authorized the execution of the great philosopher Socrates. Instead of instituting this unstable and dangerous democracy for our government, the founders instead chose a republic. As defined by Britannica, this is a, quote, "form of government in which a state is ruled by representatives of the citizen body," end quote. Now, the choice for a republic does not mean that our government is not of the people. Rather, Thomas Jefferson explained, quote, "A government is republican in proportion as every member composing it has an equal say in the direction of its concerns, by representatives chosen by himself and responsible to him at short periods," end quote. Our Constitution wisely frames our government as a republic, and it presents a balance of powers between three branches of government, thus ensuring that our policies do not swing with the changing whims of the populace. Alexander Hamilton said, quote, "Real liberty is neither found in despotism nor in the extremes of democracy, but in moderate governments," end quote. So, in my second point, I would like to explain the benefits of our republic, which is one of these moderate forms of government. There are three primary reasons that demonstrate this. First of all, our republic guards against the tyranny of the majority. A 51% majority can overrule a 49% minority in a direct democracy. Benjamin Franklin points out, quote, "This is like two wolves and a lamb voting on what to eat for lunch. But a republic is like a well-armed lamb contesting that vote," end quote. Our republic allows each perspective to be represented instead of being steamrolled by the majority opinion. For example, the Electoral College ensures that every state, no matter how small, has a say in the final election. And our Constitution, Article 5, requires that there be a 2/3 supermajority to overrule a veto or amend the Constitution. But our republic also guards against tyranny by its separation of powers. Instead of allowing the policies of our country to bow to the opinion of even a slight majority, our Constitution wisely balances power between three branches of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. Each branch is answerable to the other two and accountable to the people. Quote, "The quest for absolute power is voided when there is no absolute power to achieve," points out the Daily Signal. Finally, our republic benefits its citizens because it allows wise representatives to focus on governance rather than burdening the people with the country's needs. Now, let's examine an improbable scenario to imagine this situation. Imagine that I had $1 million. See, I told you it was improbable. You wouldn't trust me with $1 million. I mean, leave it to me, and the whole thing would be in a Kmart bond fund. Talk about bad investing. I would need to hire a financial counselor. And our republic works exactly the same way. We elect wise representatives because we trust them to know more about our country's needs than we do. Leave it to a direct democracy and you are bound to authorize the execution of men like Socrates. But elect wise representatives and they can authorize well-reasoned legislature. So now that we understand the benefits of our republic, let's move on to my third and final point, the duties of our citizens. In theory, we all know that we live in a republic. Yet unfortunately, we still act like we are citizens of a democracy. This must change. Because we elect representatives and we do not vote directly on every policy, we have two primary duties. First of all, we must vote wisely. The representatives we elect make decisions on our behalf. Therefore, it is imperative we elect those who will make decisions in keeping with the Constitution. Thomas Jefferson warned, quote, "The government you elect is the government you deserve." And he was right. We must vote wisely, or we are bound to reap the consequences. But furthermore, we must also be respectful of the decisions of our lawmakers. A good representative represents the people, yet unfortunately, they aren't all good representatives. And once we have made our disapproval clear in a peaceful and honest manner, it is our duty to resign ourselves until the next election. As citizens of a republic, we must be respectful of the system. By all means, write a letter to your senator expressing your concerns, but don't riot. We must make any necessary statements with that ballot in the next election. So, in conclusion, I hope you see that our form of government was not chosen arbitrarily. At face value, I could agree. It does seem like it's unfair that we could elect a president without a majority of the popular vote. Yet I hope you now realize the vast benefits of our great republic. And next time you are tempted to complain because our government does not act the way you would want, or next time you are tempted to say, well, he's not my president, or she's not my representative, I urge you to remember the message of this speech. Our republic was chosen wisely. And recall the words of John Adams. There was never a democracy that did not commit suicide. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Well, great job. I'm bringing Rex back on and Mark. Gentlemen, Peter can join in if you like, but I'll start with you, Mark. Anything you'd like to comment initially? You're muted, my friend.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything while they were speaking. I'm sorry. I really appreciated how, Stephen, how you brought about, you were talking about democracy, and then you talked in terms of what that was, our founding fathers, and then, you know, I think a lot of people, when they say or hear the word republic, there's a confusion, and I think you did a nice job explaining the difference from democracy to republic, and that's important. I like how you also stated about if you have a complaint, don't just complain, do something about it, or not my president. And you know, our society here of late has been through a lot. I get it. And that's tough to do. And you just kind of bring for me, a fresh perspective. And, you know, you're what, 17 years old, your brother's 15. I can't wait to hear him speak. And at this age, what you're sharing with us, this is a must listen, because this is really important stuff. I read a lot about the Constitution. I've listened to Tom. I listen to people like Rex that are out there. And they're just so much. And to me, it's just awesome the way you approached it. I wish some of our politicians on both sides of the fence get a chance to listen to this. It's just tremendous. And you're talking about working together. And that's important, I think, in any endeavor. And I salute you for, you know, having the courage to stand up there and speak. Because at 17 or 15, that was the furthest thing from my mind. I know when I was that age. So, you know, kudos to you. Outstanding.
Thank you, Mr. Gassert.
Great job. Yeah, I've heard this for the fourth or fifth time now, so the content is awakening. Contrasting the two is clear. I just wanted that one thing, because we're on camera versus you on stage. When you have your stage presence, your footwork, your body language, your movement, it just accentuates the presentation. You're just a little bit different because you're on a camera, more stationary, but that overall ambience that you bring to it is enhances your presentation. Just want to clarify that. So, and Mr. Rex Sikes.
Well, very nicely done. You've got a good presence. You've got good energy. You stand upright. You're clear. You're easy to understand. You speak well. I mean, so it's not hard on the ears or the eyes. You're not distracting. Everything is kind of focused. So a marvelous job. I have a few questions about the venue and what's going on. Is everybody giving a similar speech, or are they doing what's close to their own heart? And then,
so there's both a prepared oratory, which would be something like this, 8 to 10 minute speech, specifically about whatever the presenter cares about in regards to the Constitution. We're also going to do,
but it is in regards to the Constitution. I mean, that is the topic. Okay.
Yeah, it is specified. It has to be something about what the Constitution.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, the contents of the Constitution.
So, content aside, because you said debate, some people will agree with you, some people won't agree with you, but your audience is there, and my guess is if your goal is to communicate in a way that gets them on your side, first off, you're disarming to begin with. You're not coming off as
Good.
I'm the authority, and you and then. But that said, how music goes up and down and, does all these different kinds of things to get to the end. I mean, it's not just the beat that goes like this.
Yeah.
It's kind of the rhythm.
Uh-huh.
You were standing to camera talking, but Tom said you're going to be on a stage. You're going to be able to move.
Yes.
Yeah. I would like to see that.
Okay.
I mean, and the reason for that is because I think being on camera, you did a nice job. But what happens when you're on camera and you're doing something like 10 minutes long, if it's not, like, think of the 3 main points you want to make and go, here's the number one. And not that you have to number it, but the emphasis is, this is what this is. When you get to quotes, you can, as an actor or as a performer, you can step or move or something so that we know that you're delivering a quote versus it's your idea.
Uh-huh.
Because if everything is the same, we will get lost. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
So if you said, as Thomas Jefferson says, and then you don't try and act like Thomas Jefferson. I wouldn't, but But do it somewhat, almost in a stronger voice or a soothing voice or whatever that separates for the listener. If they can't see you, they need to be able to hear that this is a quote, not what you're saying. Does it make sense?
Yes. So not only more physical movement, but also more vocal movement.
Yes, and the other thing that I would say is, because you're in camera, you're looking at us. There's a little bit of swaying that's going on. You don't want to sway.
Okay.
But we all do. But I mean, because you're moving. So when you're on the platform, that's fine. But when if you because I haven't seen you do it, take 1 or 2 steps and talk to somebody in the audience. Go, Thomas Jefferson said this. Our Constitution is a republic, so that you're making eye contact with the people in the audience when you make your point. Some points you might want to bring out. So, and that's why we're not a democracy. But you go here, you go there, you go to the person in the back, you look around, make individual points, because like you're talking to somebody.
Yes.
I mean, if I talk to you versus talking to Peter or Tom over there, or Mark down there, in other words, there's a sound that's different. There's
Yes.
a look that will be different. And so if you said, here's my main point, you get that? Okay, cool. And this is the other one. And see, you understand how that makes sense? In other words, you're allowing them time to process.
Yes.
And you're speaking to a person as opposed to a group of people. I mean, and you did wonderfully. I mean, I could not say anything and you'd be fine. But there are little things that you can do that can. I would not say in conclusion unless they make you say that.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, because people say in conclusion, like I'm going to sum up, like guess what? It's almost over, so I'm going to encapsulate it for you because you might not have gotten this far, and you don't need to do that. If you make your argument strong, you don't have to conclude it. You just rephrase it in a different way, that you say it in a slightly different way. There's a rule: tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them.
Yes, I've heard that before.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you have to say it in conclusion.
Yes.
If you do, it's not a huge, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But you can sum it up like, instead of saying in conclusion, say, so a republic is this or that kind of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And go through how you want to close it out.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, I'm going to tell you to do something that's going to be crazy.
Okay.
Do this. When do you do this?
Sorry?
When are you performing it? When do you do it?
Our next competition is February the 8th.
Okay, so it's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Between now and then, here's what I want you to do. This is just an exercise.
Uh-huh.
Go in and do it like you're really angry.
Okay.
Okay? Just to have that energy.
Uh-huh.
Like, this is a republic and it's not a democracy and it's that kind of thing, and do that. Then do it kind of like, it's fun. It's light. It's a democracy. It's a republic. It's none of those things. I mean, in other words, what that does is just it frees your instrument up so that you can go in any which direction. You can be very matter of fact, like a scientist trying it, but do it 3 or 4 different ways. And then what you might discover is that when you do some of the lines, you go, that actually was pretty cool when I was angry. But you're not angry at anybody. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing it like you're mad at somebody. You're just doing it with emphasis. Mm-hmm. Or maybe that was a good moment where I can bring some upbeat energy to it, and it'll be nice. It'll be because you had a really nice thing with the humor too of $1 million. Look, don't trust me with $1 million. I mean, that's good. So the more that you can kind of play with who you are, authentically you. Hey, look, I'm a teenager. This is important to me. I've studied this stuff, and here's why you need to know about it. And at the same time, you're not preaching.
Yeah.
You're sharing.
Mm-hmm.
But a very nice job.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sikes.
So
great job. I just wanted to reestablish when he's on a platform on the stage, his movement, he does engage people.
I'm sure he does. I mean, I'd say that's what I'm saying. I don't see it. Also, the other thing about stage movement, if you know, take 1 or 2 steps and plant yourself.
Yes.
Right. And then look and talk to somebody and then turn and look,
Yeah.
What are the things? Huh?
Don't pace.
Yeah. Don't wander, don't pace and don't back away from it. Some people do that thing where they say, well, thank you very much. And they back away. All that does is you get smaller in their mind. I mean, because if you step forward, you get bigger. If you back away, you get smaller. So you want to turn and move and turn and move, so all good.
Yes.
I'm sure you're going to do fantastic.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sikes.
Sure.
Wonderful job. Thank you for being here. We're going to do this. I couldn't show you the timer because when I'm off camera, you couldn't see.
Was I under time though?
I really don't know.
I believe it was, according to I had a little ticker here, so you were right at the 8-minute mark, right? Is that what you said he had to do? 8 minutes, Tom?
I do an 8-minute.
Okay. Are you allowed to do secret stuff? Can you put your phone in your pocket and turn it on vibrate and have the timer go off at like 8 minutes so you know you got a couple minutes left?
Well, so there's a couple problems with that. I'm not sure what the rules say for the American Legion. The other thing is I don't have a smartphone, so I, I couldn't do that myself.
You could get an egg timer. You know,
Oh yeah,
Tick, 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 tick,
you
tick.
don't want it to go ding in the middle of your thing.
no, for sure.
Put
Definitely not.
one of these on your podium when you stop. Just kidding.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, the Academy Award says lights, like traffic lights.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Wonderful. Good job, my friend. Good job.
Thank you.
very nicely done.
All right, we'll have you step off. And Peter, it's all yours. We're going to take us off screen. And so when we get all off screen, you're free to go. And I'll have Mark, I won't be able to show you the.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I got it here.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put everybody in the green room here.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. End quote. This foundational principle was laid in the Declaration of Independence. Yet today, many twist this founding principle, saying that for society to flourish, we all must be equal in social and economic standing. We've seen this lately in the COVID handouts, college debt forgiveness, minimum wage hikes, and the push for diversity and inclusion, all in the name of equity. In fact, this is the only lens through which my generation understands America. But we don't see Americans flourishing, for the loss of personal responsibility is destroying our nation. This speech shows the founders' true principle of equality. I'll be doing this through three main points. First, the Constitution upholds equal rights. Second, our government has strayed from this idea. And third, equity hurts the people it aims to help. So first of all, the Constitution upholds equal rights. It clearly states that the role of the government is to uphold equal rights for all people, yet it prohibits the government from providing any other kind of equality. Though the idea of government-supported equity was rampant at the time of the founders, they could see its mortal flaw. John Adams, after a trip to France, wrote, quote, "That all men are born to equal rights is true, but to teach that all men are born with equal powers and faculties, to equal influence, to equal property and advantages throughout life is a gross fraud." End quote. Since everyone has drastically different opportunities, strengths, and interests, when equal rights provide freedom, everyone will have drastically different opportunities and achievements. As Alexander Hamilton noted, quote, "Inequality would exist as long as liberty existed. It would unavoidably result from that very liberty itself." End quote. James Madison argued in the Federalist Paper number 10 that the first object of government was the, quote, "protection of the different and unequal powers of acquiring property." End quote. The rights of private property are even explicitly stated in the Fifth Amendment. Quote, "No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law." End quote. Either the government violates the rights of some people in order to provide equal outcomes for all, or it upholds equal rights and recognizes that equal outcomes will not ensue. My brother and I work with my grandpa on his farm. My brother's good at organizing and planning ahead, so Stephen's always in charge of what's going on. I felt this was needless, for I assumed I could do just as well. Yet when my younger brother came and I was in charge, I realized that I didn't have the same abilities to lead, and things didn't turn out as well. However, my grandpa recognizes that I have a natural affinity for machinery. When it's time to diagnose a mechanical problem or even run the excavator, he calls me. You see, Grandpa recognizes our equal value, yet he knows we are not the same. Equal rights don't mean equal outcomes. Living within our natural abilities has allowed us to flourish together. However, we have forgotten this today. Our government has strayed from the idea of equal rights. This is my second point. Here's the story. In 1795, the Supreme Court ruled, quote, "The legislation had no authority to make an act divesting one citizen of his freehold and investing it in another. It is contrary to the principles of social alliance in every free government and to the letter and spirit of the Constitution." End quote. This precedent, end quote. Less than 50 years after this, Davy Crockett was among the first to slip from this ideal. Crockett, as a representative, promoted dispersing relief funds for those whose houses had burned down. This action caused considerable commotion, as he later reported. One farmer even went so far as to claim that Crockett had, quote, "not the capacity to understand the Constitution," end quote. The man reasoned with him that Congress had no right to give the charity, but instead that individual citizens may give as much as they please, and that giving this comparatively small sum could have drastic consequences. For, quote, "once Congress begins to stretch its power beyond the limits of the Constitution, there is no limit to it and no security for the people," end quote. Less than 50 years after this, President Grover Cleveland, to justify his veto of an early federal welfare system, stated, quote, "I can find no warrant for such an appropriation in the Constitution. Though the people support the government should not support the people," end quote. This precedent held until the 1936 Supreme Court Butler case, which responded to one of FDR's New Deal reforms. This ruling looked to Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, which reads, quote, "The Congress shall have the power to provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States," end quote. The court said that the government could levy taxes in order to redistribute wealth, all in the name of the general welfare. But this is invalid because the Constitution clarifies later on which specific powers provide for both the common defense and general welfare. The common defense is not a police force, but instead refers to Army and Navy. In like manner, the general welfare is not charity or anything at all that promotes well-being, but instead 17 specific powers, excluding all others. Following this warped interpretation, more social programs ballooned. FDR's programs arose in the context of the Great Depression, and during the Civil Rights Movement, President Lyndon B. Johnson wanted to provide an equal end place for those set back by discrimination. Not only were the laudable goals of these presidents not achieved through the methods they established, today, this push for equity has led ever farther from the constitutional bounds where the founding ideal was strictly equal rights. But I'd now like to move on to my third and final point. Equity hurts the people it seeks to help. Today, nearly everyone qualifies for some form of government aid, but we see how this kind of social support has actually hurt groups of people in the past. Jason Riley, a Black American, explains the detrimental effects of these programs in his own community. In his book titled "Please Stop Helping Us," he describes how the push to guarantee school success for all lowered the expectations and thus the outcomes. The aid designed to help single mothers demotivated families from staying together. The minimum wage requirements, instead of raising the income of poor people, kept them from being hired. And the soft on crime approach, instead of keeping men out of jail, made their neighborhoods prime targets for criminals. Just after the Civil War, Booker T. Washington recommended a different approach. He established a school for former slaves where he foremost wanted them to develop character as well as skill. He said, quote, "I have learned that success is not to be measured so much as the position one has achieved in life, as by the obstacles through which he has overcome. For out of that hard and unusual struggle through which he is compelled to pass, he gets a strength, a confidence that one misses whose pathway is comparatively smooth. End quote. Think of the determination of our ancestors in the face of immense obstacles, the sacrifices made to bring about our country's freedom, their loyalty in the tribulation of the Civil War, their tenacity in the poverty of the Great Depression, and the selfless courage they maintained through both world wars. I truly believe we stand where we are today because of the character the American people gained through these obstacles. Consequently, I scorn the unconstitutional federal aid programs designed to insulate my generation from such character-building trials necessary for true success. Let us heed the words of President John F. Kennedy. Quote, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." Thank you.
Again, Peter, great job. I've heard that, like I said, 4 or 5 times now, but you did a great job with your movement, your body language and tone on in the presentation. So just want to compliment you on that. I love the story of you and your brother and your grandfather. That gives a clear picture of equity, but difference and different value. That was a really good job again. So, Mark, any comment you'd like to make?
Yeah, just real quick. It was 10 minutes. I'm just letting you know. This one was 10 minutes. But I will say this, and Rex kept driving it home with Stephen. Exposition, development, recapitulation, sonato allegro form. You painted the picture with words. If there was a musical score, I felt like when I listened to you, there were ebbs and flows, and you did a nice job. I have to ask a question. The balloons that went up, did you create that, or how did that happen? Did you see them go up? They went up twice, so I didn't know if that was you.
All right.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. And it
must have been maybe somebody in our audience.
Yeah, I guess so. And I was like, man, that's kind of unique. But no, in what they call sonata allegro form, ABA, they always talk about exposition, development, recapitulation, and I felt like you truly emulated that in your speech. I'm impressed. You're 15, is that true?
Yes.
Wow, man, you superseded me when I was 15. Once again, it's just amazing. Younger people today, what you know and have access to, and the 4 of us or 5 of us actually that are here, and most of us are a little older. We didn't have these tools like you all have, man. It's just incredible what you guys know.
Thank you.
We had to go to card catalogs to do our own research and then make notes.
Yeah.
Go to the card catalog.
No, you're right, Rex.
The library, get that book and go, no, that's not what I want. And then simply, very different kind of.
It's just incredible how quick they can put this stuff together. And I commend both of you all. I just want to say this on your research. You weren't slinging it from the hip, so to speak, and you didn't, like Rex said, you didn't beat us over the head with it either. It was in a manner where it was like, I'm sharing this content with you, and here it is. And I didn't feel like you were imposing or jumping down my throat. Excellent job.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Sikes.
Yeah, no, another wonderful presentation. You both should pat yourselves on the back for doing good jobs and for having talent in this area. You obviously have some chops at being speakers and putting stuff together and being able to present it in a cogent way, in a way that is easy to hear and to watch. So very good, very just a couple of things: a good energy, good presence, good gestures, all. The quote, end quote, I'm not so sure I would do.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, and I want to be careful because maybe that's the way people do it, but what I'm saying is I don't want to take anything away from you. I just want to give you a choice. And if like wherever you're studying this, through the Legion or something, they say quote, end quote, then do it. Don't violate something because I say not to do it. But the point of a quote, again, which we're starting to see is if you can do it with your voice, you don't need to say quote, end quote.
All right.
And you don't have to put on an accent or any, you don't have to be a caricature to do it. But if you change it, like if you said Thomas Jefferson said, and you do it, then hey, guess what? You don't have to say Thomas Jefferson said, quote, end quote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll look into that because I don't know if it's specifically mandated that we have to do that.
Yeah, if you have to say quote unquote, then do it.
Okay.
I would not say I have 3 points. Who cares if you have 3 points?
All right.
But let me ask you this, and this goes to Stephen too. What is your purpose? Why are you telling them what you're telling them? Each of you, just you don't have to necessarily answer out loud, but are you trying to convince them? Are you trying to have them take action? Are you trying to correct them? When you said the warped practice, if I were not favorable for your content, I might go, oh, you're one of them. Because,
Sure. Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
Warped makes it sound like it may truly be warped, but if you call it warped and somebody else, cherishes it, then they've been insulted. So if one of your judges goes, so
don't overstate your point. Okay.
You don't have to, and you really don't have to. So if you say, instead of saying I have 3 points, you say there's 3 things you must know. Then the question is why must they know it?
Sure.
Why are you telling them they must know this? Why do you care that there's these 3 things that you're telling people? Figure that one out. I mean, both of you did a good job, but always know why you're telling them what you're telling them. Because if you're there to try and get them to take action, there's some things that you would do differently than if you're there to inform them.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you don't want to mix the two.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting them to believe the way you believe, you're going to deliver it differently than if you said, hey, you know what? There's 50 different ways to do things. Here's one of them. You choose.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So understand what is your mission, and that'll help you deliver. And again, I'm not saying this to have you change anything. I'm just saying to help you continue to clarify what you're doing. There's something I wanted to say. You started with a quote, which was really good when you opened, and your story was great. A story, a quote, or a question. In other words, a question can get everybody. Like if you said, "Do you know why we do what we do?" People go, "No." Oh, well, we do it because of this. This is the way it. You can then unfold it. If you come out and go, this is the way it is because so and so says it. It's a different. You know what I'm saying? One is I'm inviting you to pay attention and to listen to me, and the other one's, well, I'm going to tell you why you should listen to me, or but. And again, I'm just same thing that I said to Stephen. Try it angry, try it happy, try it sad, try it different ways just to create that kind of flow. And then if none of it is working for you that way, you just put it right back to the way it was because you're both doing a good job. I'm not trying to get you to be different from who you are. I'm not trying to get you to change your message from what it is. But if there's a tweak that you find in that exploration that you go, oh, this really is kind of cool and it works. Then incorporate it.
Definitely, yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Sure.
Great, thank you, Rex. Appreciate it. Stephen and Peter, again, I step back and grateful that had the opportunity to meet you 2 young men. It changes perspective of what the younger. What do you call you guys? Generation what?
I don't know if they've named us yet. Kind of scary thought.
That's a good
Question mark.
The question mark.
I like that. Yeah.
The question mark generation. No, it's the fact that the amount of effort, research, and I know how much time you guys have been putting into this presentation, the practice and all that. Take those skills and disciplines and focus and apply it to anything you do. You're going to have tremendous success. I'll just want
You're
to.
both very, very capable and very, very good at what you're doing. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions for Mr. Sikes? Either one of you, or Mark?
Thank you all so much for having us.
Yeah, your feedback was really helpful. We'll take that to heart.
I took some notes.
Okay, good.
Well, they have the opportunity to also review this, correct?
Yeah, I'll send them the recording on this.
Right.
Yeah.
When do you guys speak in this competition now? When does this take place, or when is that, Tom?
The next competition is February the 8th.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
there's a district competition, then it goes to a county, and then it goes to the state.
Okay.
And
All through the American Legion.
through the American Legion. And what we've done is,
And thank you for doing that. I'm a member, but thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Well, thank you all for your service.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Because it's time-based, and let's say one of you is in the beginning of the day and the other's at the end of the day. The person at the end of the day is going to have a lot of people who have been listening all day long, and they may be tired and drained and everything else. So it doesn't always work in your advantage. So if you have to change things, try and have them energy up a little bit,
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you, it goes back to the 3-point thing. If you say, I have 3 points that you must know, or I have 3 points I'm going to say, and you find out that for whatever reason you're running slow, now you've got 3 points that you have to deliver, because if you don't fulfill what you told them. If you say, there's some things that I need you to know, or I'd like you to understand, or would you be interested in some ways of thinking about something, whatever, and you don't specify how many they are. If you get 1, 2, and you look at them and you go, they're done, I'm out of here, say, and then, you know what I mean? You can close you can tailor your speech.
Yeah.
Always remember that they don't know what you're going to say. So you can take anything out or put anything in that you want, and they don't know that you didn't plan it that way.
That's a good thing.
That gives you the latitude to, if you had to adjust.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other thing is, if it's at the end of the day and you can get away with it, and you can ask them, you can say, everybody stand up for a second. And they all stand up, you go, hey, just shake like that. And they go, and they sit back down and go, how do you feel? And they go, oh, I feel pretty good. You go, do you know that sometimes we need to do that to our own thinking? We need to shake it off. We need to get it live. And so I want to share some things with you that might wake you up a little bit more. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that way you've actually got them to stretch a minute, but you're using it within the context of what, and you can play with it, experiment on your own. I'm not saying that that's the only way to deliver it, but you understand the concept, then you can do anything with it.
Yep.
Okay.
That's really helpful. Thank you. Yeah. Great insights.
Tom, you look like this.
You're muted.
how about this? Now I'm a real talking head, but Rex, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be here to help support these 2 young men, and
Great.
giving that critique that something could just change a little bit here or there. Who knows how they're going to apply it, but they've taken the recommendations of the audience that has been working with them, and they've just continued fine-tuning themselves. So
I'm not telling you to revamp anything. So just, and lastly, it's really cool for me to be here to watch you guys talk, because you're both very good at it. And finding talent is something I love to do. So very cool.
Right.
Thank you very much for your time.
Great.
All right, guys.
We're going to have you guys hang on. Mark and I and Rex will close out, and then just don't go anywhere. Okay.
We'll be here.
Okay. Absolutely incredible. Some special two young men with their talent, their enthusiasm, and their commitment to share what they're exploring in the area of the Constitution. I wish more of us would take that time just to even dive a little bit deeper into the foundation of this great country. Today was Inauguration Day. We hear some of the words that they were talking about being, in my opinion, not properly expressed. We heard democracy several times before anybody mentioned republic. And I think, there's a lot of misconceptions of how our country was founded. I think people take the time to do that, we get a better understanding of this whole system that we're involved in. And I like some of the points about the democracy and republic. We create a tyranny, we create chaos with a pure democracy. I liked his story about the two wolves and the lamb trying to figure out what they're going to have for lunch. That was a great little story. But I appreciate those who were on there. Robert Booker and who else was on? I think
there are some other people watching. Yeah, so I'm sure it'll get. I'm definitely going to forward this on.
Most certainly. Just for the sake of edifying these two young men and help them build their confidence, just knowing that they did a great job. Awesome. With that, Mark, we will end it, and we see everybody next week. Elevate your profits. We're here to everything from the mindset to our bank account, everything we can to help people improve themselves any way they can. Hopefully that something came out of this today that somebody's listening can grab a hold of, take some time to start investigating this foundation of our country, this Constitution, and come away with maybe a different perspective or better understanding. So with that all said, everybody have a great evening, and we'll go ahead and end. Hold tight, everybody.